All right, welcome everyone to Creativity and Your Wellbeing Canvas Painting. This is a repeat of the 2023 fall class that we did. So maybe you came to that, maybe not. Maybe you wanted a second chance to do some painting. That's totally fine. It seems like this class is popular, so hopefully we can offer it again next semester. And you don't have to have any experience with anything artistic to do this class. These are two really basic techniques. And I'm going to try to show you how to do them in a way that is pretty easy and beginner friendly. So we have two options for you to try. If you have time, you can try both, but you also probably want to give your canvas some time to dry. So the first one is going to be a string or a chain technique, these ones. And I'll show you how to do that. So you can choose kind of like monochromatic colors all in the same family, or you can throw in some different colors. And you can do either a string, which I think this one was a string, and then this one is a chain. So you get a slightly different effect. It's pretty similar, but the chain creates a little bit of a more scalloped effect. The other one is a tape technique. And you can choose whatever color scheme you want there, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so let's start with the tape technique. So what I did to get it started, actually, let's take a step back. If we need more chairs, we can just add some more chairs to the table. Okay, so really quick, I wanted to show you a color wheel. Okay, can you see that? Okay, so if anybody took art class in elementary school, middle school, maybe high school, and if you can't see, feel free to come up here. This will only just take a few minutes. So we have the color wheel. Does anybody know, without looking, what are the primary colors? There's three primary colors. Yellow, red, blue. Yeah, that's correct. So those are the primary colors. You can't really make those colors, but you can mix them to create other colors. So what are the secondary colors? Green, orange, and purple. So if you mix primary colors, like if you mix blue and yellow, which are primary colors, then you get green. If you mix blue and red, you get purple. So you can kind of create anything once you have the three primary colors, black and white. You might also want to see what are complementary colors. Those are the colors that are opposite on the color wheel. So if you really want contrast, you can use them. But if you want things to be like in a similar color family, maybe you would go from green to purple. But for example, green and red are complementary colors. So they're kind of opposite. All right. Okay. So for the taping technique, we have some paint tape, and what you do is you make all these shapes, whatever shapes you want, on your board, on your canvas board. And I like to start off with two big pieces to kind of divide it up. So I usually make like a big X like this across the board, and then I just start making smaller triangles by laying out big pieces of tape. And so really quick, I'll just show you, this tape will not necessarily go in a straight line. This is painter's tape. So if you were like gonna paint around something round, then the tape will bend. So if you really want a straight line, you want to hold it out and put it all down at once. That way you get a nice straight line. And I like to leave a little bit extra hanging off the sides so that it's easy to remove when you're ready. Then you're just going to paint inside the triangles. You can do a solid color, you can do a gradient, you can do a pattern, you can do whatever you want. We're going with a spring theme here. So we already have like a peach, orange. This one I kind of did a gradient mixed with some white. And then I'm just going to take some yellow and fill in this triangle here. And you can mix colors too. To get this peach color, it was a mix of pink, orange, a little yellow, and some white. And just another general tip for painting, if you want to lighten something, then you want to start with a lot of white paint and gradually add a little bit of the next color. Because it takes a lot of white to lighten another color. On the other hand, if you want to darken something and you're using black, add the tiniest amount of black paint possible and just gradually add a little bit more, because you can easily add too much and then everything will turn really dark. So just keep that in mind when you're mixing paint. Okay, so we're gonna just try to do this quick demo. So I'm just gonna let that dry for a second. Then for the next technique, what you're gonna do is you choose your background color. I'm gonna choose white. We have a lot of white paint. And if you have the board, well, let's say we don't have the board. I'm just gonna put it on my little palette here. And you need a lot of paint, because you want a big wet layer of it. Because what happens is when you lay down the string, it's gonna mix with the background paint and pull it along with it. And that gives you that really cool effect. Here's what's gonna happen if you don't do that. If your board is dry, it's just gonna drag and you're not gonna really get that effect. So it's really important to make sure the canvas is totally soaked with the background paint. And of course it will dry. So then you can take a big brush like this and just get as much of it on there as possible. We did put paper down on the tables, but yeah, try to keep it, what we don't have protected as the ground. So we want to try to avoid getting paint on the ground. So just be kind of careful if you can. So you can see I put a lot of paint on the plate, but it's still not quite enough. So just make sure you get enough paint. Towards the edges, maybe doesn't matter as much if you're not going to drag your string to the edge, but make sure you have plenty of paint in the middle there. So I actually have some more white paint here. So especially like right here in the middle, where I'm going to drag the string through it. And towards the bottom, I want to have enough. So let me get a tiny bit more paint. And then you can pick whatever colors you want for the string. So what color would you like to see? Pink. Pink? Okay, we'll do pink. All right, so I'm gonna get it nice and thick, especially in the middle here. Okay. All right. So I'm going to demonstrate with the chain. These are totally reusable. So you can rinse it off and share it. And then when you're done, you can, let's do this darker pink. You can bring it back and we'll rinse them off and we can reuse them next time. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a little bit of the chain off the plate because I want to be able to grab that end. And I want the chain to be much longer than here, because what I'm going to do is sort of make a zigzag pattern. So I'm going to completely drench the string in the paint. And maybe you could take another brush and just kind of move it around. Oh, there'll be a little yellow in there. That's okay. To make sure it's fully covered. Then you're going to carefully pull it out of the paint. And I can see there's some spots that aren't totally covered, so I'm going to kind of dunk it. Okay, so now you're going to zigzag this across your canvas. And something that I found is important is you don't want the top to be wider than the rest, because that's going to be the last part to come through and it's going to show. So we want the top part to be kind of the most narrow. So if you want, you can wear gloves. I don't have them on. You can kind of guide it. And I like to make the first one kind of go across like that. And then have it get a little bit wider. And then bring it down to a point here. So if you want, you can do a few chains or strings and do them and pull them all at once. But just for a quick example, what you want to do, is hold it here in the middle to direct the chain. And you can see the pattern forming. And it's because I have a lot of white paint, it's pulling it down. Wow. And also you might want to hold your fingers a little bit off the canvas to reduce the paint from pooling right there. So it's really easy. Anybody can do this. Again, make sure that the top is more narrow. See, this is also kind of what happens if you make the top much wider. It's just going to pull through the whole canvas and then you won't see the definition on the lower layers. So here's a couple of examples. This one I did while it was drying, so you can tell that there's a lot less paint dragging down. This one, you know, these ones had a lot of paint, so it worked a little bit better. And again, this is the chain effect. This is the string. So if you like that kind of scallopy edge, then you can use the chain. So we're gonna try to do this together. Oh, really quick, let me show you. So here's what it looks like. I'm gonna have to redo some of this tape, but when you pull off the tape, generally you want to wait till everything's dry. I'll just pull that back a little bit. So you can kind of start to see that effect. So that's how it's gonna look. And you can do whatever shape and color scheme you want.